After joining the Boston Celtics on an Exhibit 10 training camp invite, Lonnie Walker IV knew he was facing an uphill battle to secure a spot on the team's opening night roster, largely for reasons outside of his control. Despite a strong showing in camp where he reminded the Celtics and the rest of the league of his value as a potential NBA contributor, Walker was sadly waived on Saturday. The Celtics opted to go into the 2024-2025 season with just 14 players on their roster. Both Celtics players and coaches were vocal about Walker's infectious energy and tireless work ethic. This dedication was on full display Friday night, when after attending the team's annual Shamrock Gala, Walker headed to the Auerbach Center gym for a midnight workout, even as his time with the team was coming to an end. Ultimately, it looks like financial concerns were what really ended up deciding things. The Celtics are already looking at a hefty luxury tax bill, and while Walker's $2 million minimum salary might not seem like much, it could have cost the team over $10 million in total if no other salary adjustments were made later in the season. Walker's preseason performance saw a slow start during the Celtics game in Abu Dhabi, but he really came alive once the team returned stateside, doing everything he could to make the Celtics reconsider carrying a 15th player. NBC Sports Boston, in particular, highlighted one of his standout moments with a tweet saying, "Lonnie Walker IV was hot from deep for tonight's drain of the game." In the end, the Celtics prioritized flexibility and managing costs. The fact that Walker even made them seriously reconsider adding him to the roster speaks volumes about the impression he left with his play and work ethic. While he's been waived, Walker still has the option to join the main Celtics as an affiliated player. However, unlike the team's three two-way players, Anton Watson, J.D. Davidson, and Drew Peterson, the Celtics wouldn't be able to call Walker up to the main roster without signing him to a new contract. There's always a chance that roster moves later in the season could open the door for Walker to return. In the meantime, this decision gives players like Jaden Springer a chance to prove the team's faith in him was justified after spending a second-round pick to acquire him. Springer, who earns $4 million right now, will of course need to continue developing to show he's worth the cost, especially considering the tax penalties. Though Walker didn't make the final roster, he should draw interest from other NBA teams, especially those dealing with preseason injuries. Some of Boston's rivals might have taken notice of his preseason play and could be intrigued by what he brings to the table. Right now, the New York Knicks are in need of some bench depth after Landry Shamet's recent shoulder injury. Right now, their bench consists of Miles McBride, Cameron Payne, and Precious Achiuwa, a thin lineup that's missing a reliable scorer. And Lonnie Walker could be just that for them. At 25, Walker is a six-year NBA veteran who most recently played in the Brooklyn Nets. He has a solid career, average of 9.8 points per game, shooting 42% from the floor and 36% from beyond the arc. While his defense isn't his strong suit, pairing him with defensively capable players like McBride and Achiuwa could help cover those weaknesses. Known for his aggressive scoring and ability to heat up in short bursts, Walker could provide the spark the Knicks need off the bench. His shooting and floor spacing would be a valuable addition, especially for a Knicks bench that struggled to score last season. Lonnie's career high is 31 points in a game, with the San Antonio Spurs back in 2021, and he's had 37 games where he's put up at least 20 points. With the Knicks lacking depth due to trades and injuries, Walker could quickly catch their attention before the season starts. And although Walker didn't make the Celtics opening night roster, it doesn't exactly mean his time in Boston is over. NBA insider Jake Fisher had previously explained a scenario where the Celtics could have kept Walker on the roster. Fisher noted, "The champion Celtics don't need to make any trades to keep Lonnie Walker for the regular season, as Boston has an open roster spot. But keep an eye on the Celtics moving Jaden Springer this year, maybe as late as the February trade deadline, to save north of $7 million in tax payments that would come with keeping Walker." While Walker has been waived, this scenario isn't entirely off the table for later in the season. If Walker stays affiliated with the Celtics by playing for their G League team, the main Celtics, he could still be brought back later. Under his Exhibit 10 contract, Walker can join the G League team, earning over $70,000 and possibly make $2 million more if the Celtics convert his contract to a standard NBA deal. This might happen if the team finds a way to move Springer before the trade deadline. But if the Celtics were truly concerned about losing Walker to a competitor, they would have found a way to keep him. By waiving him, they signaled that they aren't too worried about him landing elsewhere. However, if they don't keep him in their G League system, there's always the chance they'll see him on a rival team, a topic that's been discussed since he joined their training camp roster. One team that could be interested in Walker is Miami. For whatever reason, the Heat have been a consistent thorn in the Celtics' side over the past few years, often getting great production from unlikely players like Caleb Martin, Gabe Vincent, and former Celtics training camp invitee Max Strus. While Strus wasn't a Celtics killer, he was instrumental in Miami's success. If any team could help Walker reach his full potential, it's the Heat. And if any team could use a player like Walker to hurt the Celtics, it's definitely Miami. In addition to the Knicks and the Heat, the Denver Nuggets could be another option. While they still have Nikola Jokic, the reigning MVP, they've lost some of the depth that helped them win their championship just a year and a half ago, including Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Losing Caldwell-Pope may not be a fatal blow to their title hopes, but it's certainly a setback. Walker wouldn't replace Caldwell-Pope's defensive prowess, but he could provide enough scoring punch to help the Nuggets remain competitive. That said, it could take more than just him to fill the void. The thing to remember here is that these teams had a chance to sign Walker before the Celtics did, and they passed. While he impressed during preseason, he didn't show anything NBA teams didn't already know about him. Walker deserves to be on an NBA roster, and while signing with another team might not be a major concern for Boston, they should at least keep an eye out if he ends up with one of those teams. That being said, Lonnie Walker didn't act like his contract was beneath him during his time with the Celtics. Instead, he performed well and even posted a cryptic message on social media after his brief but notable stint in Boston. "Will always bet on myself," Walker shared on his Instagram story Saturday. This is gonna be one hell of a story. Though his time with the team was short, Walker left a lasting impression on his teammates. Derek White, who has known Walker since their days with the Spurs, they were drafted in back-to-back seasons, really made obvious their close friendship. "I talk to him too much, I think," White joked. "I try to give him space. Nah, just kidding. But we've been close since he got drafted to San Antonio, so that's my guy. I'm sure we'll talk soon." Walker's preseason performance was solid, averaging 7.3 points, 2.5 assists, and 1.5 rebounds in 4 games. While he started slowly in the 2 games against the Nuggets, he found his rhythm in matchups with the 76ers and Raptors, generating a lot of hype among some fans who hoped he'd stick around. Ultimately, though, financial considerations didn't work in his favor, and that's life. "I love Lonnie," said Luke Cornett. "He's a great player, honestly. His energy, his joy, and his passion and the connection he brings were awesome. I never had the opportunity to know him closely until these past few weeks, and he's been great to have around. Honestly, a joy to play with and work with." Celtics president Brad Stevens also revealed what initially attracted Walker to the team, especially in a crowded free agency market. "He's a guy that was very excited to be here," Stevens said. "I think his relationship with Derek and the fact he's worked out with Drew Holiday a lot in previous summers played a role. There was an eagerness to be around those guys and to try a new situation. He's got a lot of talent, and he's done a lot of good things in the NBA. We'll see how it fits and plays itself out, just like with the other 22 players on the roster." Do you think Lonnie Walker deserves an NBA contract? If so, who should sign him? Let us know in the comments down below.